How many of you are familiar with Day of Wrath? Oh, God. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Let me, how many know how the book got started? Okay, I'll spin off 5 minutes on that. June, Robin, was it 3 years ago or 2 years ago now? 2000, wow, it's been that long? Okay. That is when, it was middle of June, was it not? Yeah. Fox News first reports up of the mass executions by ISIS. However, all your mainstream media, including Fox, were saying purported executions, alleged executions. And they had still photos. Hey, I'm a historian, I do research. And it really started bothering me. I was talking with a friend on the phone about it, and I got on the internet, and God help me, within about 15 minutes, I was on the hour, 10-minute long videos that ISIS was releasing. Have any of you ever watched an ISIS hour-long video? Don't. I'm dead serious. Don't. There are images of foul cruelty. I thought I was a bit inoculated to it, being a historian. I mean, thank God I wasn't there to witness what happened in World War II. But, you know, you interview vets, you see the footage of the camps. I've been to Dachau. I thought I understood it. And Robin will tell you, I sat there crying. I was so sickened by the utter brutality that these barbarians are inflicting. The one that stuck and started to form the book was they have that damnable music of theirs playing, praising their satanic God. And that's the only way I can put it. He's satanic. And they drive up alongside a car of civilians fleeing. And it's an American station wagon. And they machine gun them. And these barbarians are wearing GoPro cameras. The same type I use when I'm flying and having fun. They're filming murder. And the car goes careening off the road. They stop, they back up, and a couple people are staggering out of the road, and they are laughing as they level their weapons and blow these people apart. Execution after execution. And the one photo that Fox News was using was a man kneeling with his executioner behind him. It's a still photo. I saw the video where his whole head explodes. Robin and I are going out to dinner that evening. I've been looking at this filth for several hours. We're driving down the road, and right at exit 55, I'm really upset. I'm talking to her about it, and then she hit me. She said, I think God's telling you you have to write something about this. And I was like, don't do this to me. And I went home, I prayed, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. And around midnight, I started writing. What I based Day of Wrath on is a real story. Beslan, the Beslan massacre. How many are familiar with it? Okay, those of you who are not, if you want to get really chilled, look up Beslan, B-E-S-L-A-N. They even have a write-up on it, of all places, Wikipedia. Beslan massacre, September 2004. Islamic murderers, sometimes people try to brush it over saying they were Chechen nationalists. They seized a elementary middle school in the town of Beslan in the south of Russia. They executed over 300 children. They did horrific things, particularly to the girls. Their procedure was to herd people into a gym, the school gym. They culled out any boys who were older who could offer resistance, took them into a back room and cut their throats. They started taking 12-year-old girls up onto the roof of the school and raping them, while helicopters were filming some of this to try and provoke response. In the end, over 300 people died. And that's what I took. That's what I based Day of Wrath on. Beslan is real. It really happened. And I found myself thinking, if that kind of horror was unleashed inside the United States, it would resonate and shatter us far more deeply than 9/11. No matter how horrible 9/11 was, it was us, it was adults, and it was in one place. It was New York City. Imagine these barbarians being unleashed in Weaverville, North Carolina, Springfield, Missouri, outside of Des Moines, Iowa, hit middle America where it hurts the most. I wrote the book to try and raise awareness and to try and get a debate going as to how best to protect our children. And I hear it is connecting. Police are, some of them are actually hopefully adopted the book as discussion and exercises. And one, a state trooper up in Connecticut I talked to said, even though we have a wacky, let's just say he's a trooper up there. He said, even though we have a wacky governor, we, on the side, on our own time, train and prepare for this type of thing. What do we do if somebody seizes a school like this? All our school shootings have so far been lone wolf or a very psychotic kid. I am an absolute passionate advocate of, let me emphasize, trained teachers. Not just random, but an awful lot of folks get into teaching after they've left the military. Trained, carried to conceal. And I've actually had some parents go, oh, but my teacher's there to love my child, and I don't like the thought of them carrying. I said, listen, first of all, they're trained, and secondly, maybe the ultimate act of love is they buy 30 seconds for your child to escape, if this ever happened. God, I'm getting depressed. I'm so depressed. Why don't we, Jan, I bet if I offered you offered a discussion group on a happy romance novel, there'd be like 4 people sitting here. You know? Why is it we like to get the crap scared out of us occasionally? I don't know. But that's because we're realists, and we know the world can be a grim place. So that's about writing Day of Wrath. I truly fear that scenario. And I'm shocked it hasn't happened. I noticed something about the media. It was purported executions across that summer of 2014. Around late August, it might have been first week in September, I got a call from Fox News. They wanted to discuss the book on Fox and Friends. And I got there, and I was on the 6:30 a.m. slot, and it was a total of 2 minutes. And I leave, and you know, Robin and I are going to spend the day hanging out in New York City and wandering Central Park and finding the carousel I used to ride as a kid, which I did. And suddenly I get a phone call. And it's a producer from Fox. And she said, have you heard the news? I was like, no. She said, they killed a journalist. Can you come back this evening for another interview? I was like, yeah, sure. But when I hung up, I was like, you mean it took the killing of a journalist for you journalists to realize this is a real serious threat? Do you remember though? Once they started killing journalists, then our mainstream media was reacting. What about all the Christians that were literally being crucified by these scum every day? That wasn't news. That's just a little minor gripe.